Joining me today is my longtime friend and collaborator on many projects, James Waslaski. James, like most of us, he wears many hats. He's a therapist, he's primarily an educator, and he's an author. James is probably best known for being one of the most traveled educators in our industry. He teaches over 40 seminars. He'd probably give you a more accurate figure on this. At the moment, obviously, with lockdown, that's affecting us all, but James travels a lot. He's on the road a lot. He teaches a huge number of seminars, approximately 40 a year. It's more at times. So definitely a very busy man. He's received many accolades. I think probably the most prestigious was that he was inducted into the Massage Hall of Fame back in 2008. James has served on many state boards. He's been working in an advisory capacity. He's a big influencer really within our industry. He's also worked on a huge number of professional athletes. And he's involved in the Wounded Warriors program. And he is definitely somebody that I've always enjoyed working with. He's got great personality. If you've ever taken any one of James's courses, you'll know he's a very high energy presenter. He really brings his A game to every single seminar. So with that, I would like to say hello to James and welcome him. Hi, James. How are we doing?
Hey, Aubrey. It's great to see you. I'm doing actually really good compared to when this first all happened. So I have to say there's a lot of great things. I'm excited about this interview because I've been following you, by the way, too. And I'm really proud of you. Your book, your seminars around the world, pretty cool stuff. So it's an honor to be on this interview today with you, Aubrey.
Thanks, James. Thanks. Really appreciate that. So I suppose really what this series is focusing on, this Therapists Together series, is talking to educators like yourself and industry leaders and influencers, and just to get their perspective on what part of the world they're in, how they're getting on, how the society around them is functioning in this kind of lockdown, or as we're starting to come out of our lockdown phase. I know you're based in Dallas. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
Yeah, Aubrey, we're still pretty much in lockdown where therapists are not really allowed to. I think this next week they're going to allow massage to start, but there's so many precautions. So when this all happened, I was in Hawaii on March 12th. This all happened and everything.
Wow.
One day in Hawaii, I'm teaching AMTA conference. The next day, we only have 6 people. The next day, everything shut down. Hotels, restaurants. This was like March 12th. So what happened with me is that I had 12 back-to-back state conferences. I've never had that in my career. It was going to be the best year of my life. And all 12 were 3 AMTA, different states across somewhere 150 people. I mean, we're thinking, oh my God, this is our best year ever. 12 conferences back-to-back, boom, they're gone. So what I've been doing in Dallas after moping for a couple days, in fact, I didn't even leave Hawaii until I called my pastor to go, I don't want to bring this bad energy back to my family. I really am overwhelmed. My best year just got blown out of the water. 12 conferences back-to-back, literally never happened in the history of my career. So we have been doing, as this interview goes on, we've been doing some amazing things with, I learned how to use Zoom, which I'm on with you now, in quite an effective way where I'm doing PowerPoint presentations and stuff. But in Dallas, really, people are staying home still. There's some people going to the restaurants and they're distancing. There's some people getting together in their backyards, but they're just this thing. I did one live interview with one of my teaching assistants as she was doing a class of 28 people live. And we took all the precautions that I'll talk about. I mean, I loved your interview with Anne because they wrote a great book about the precautions we should be taking. Ruth Warner had a great interview. I met with Benny Vaughn. We didn't meet with him, but we Zoomed together. And Benny Vaughn has talked about when people are doing neck and shoulder work and possibly adapting that to face down techniques. There's so many great things we're going to come out of this with. But to me, in the long run, I needed to updo my handouts. I needed to redo my PowerPoints. I needed to update my information. This has been a blessing in disguise. After the first few days when I quit crying about it, I just really got on the ball and so many amazing things have happened. I feel like God reset the world so that I could up my A game in this profession.
Because I know you're actually very fortunate. We've talked about this before, that your house actually backs onto a nature reserve, because one of the things I'm always interested in is how are people managing stress? And I always think that like exercise, activity, I mean, these are known ways of dealing with stress, but getting out in nature is really important too. And I know you're a big fan of both of those things.
Yeah, Aubrey, it's been huge. I mean, I feel so blessed. I live in a nature center, so I'm in my backyard working out with my bands, and I've got a fat tire bike. There's trails. There's an 8-mile trail in my backyard in the nature center. I don't own that land, but it's right there in my backyard. I think for me, I've been riding bike, either a road bike or a fat tire bike every day, minimum of 1.5 to 2 hours. For me, my fitness level is better, which means my emotional level is better. That's my time to get out and visualize and pray and rethink things. So for me, this has been I've been wishing I had more time to do all these things, and here it is. So all these projects, all these workouts, all these times in nature, and I read a book called Blue Mind, which was all about the healing from a chemical level of being near water, being near animals. And in the nature center, it is so soothing. I can be stressed out, go there for an hour, and everything transforms. So I do feel very, very blessed that I spent 20 years building this house and being right on the midst of what's the most healing thing out there possible. So I don't take it for granted, believe me.
That sounds second only, I would say, probably to Till Luca's story. I was talking to Till recently, and he said he was in Thailand in a nature reserve there when the pandemic broke. And they said they had, they were off the grid. They didn't have any contact or communication. And just, when you come back to civilization, everybody's phone goes crazy and stuff like that. And he was saying, that's part of his daily meditation routine. He just visualizes being in Thailand, being on that raft. But you've got it in your back garden. That's even better.
Yeah, I realized that people ask me, because I travel to 15 countries. I travel 45 weekends a year. Where's my most beautiful resort where I find the greatest amount of healing, peace, and calmness? After being home for 2 months, I realized that's the place. This is so I'm really feeling blessed in this reset. I feel like God almost reset our world, and things that we took for granted are being like anything we used to do, like get on a plane or go out for dinner. We're not taking it for granted anymore. And I think for me, it was a good reset.
That's one of the things that we've been talking about, that, you do recognize, this isn't focusing on positivity and nearly denying the negatives. I think that people recognize the challenges and the difficulties, particularly financial difficulties, but there really are positives. And I think one of the main ones is people saying that they have time, that a lot of therapists will say, I've got this great book, or I've got this course, and I just haven't had time to do it, or time to put in and implement some meditation practice or something like that. So it's really good to hear that you're keeping well and you're doing all that stuff. I didn't doubt you would be, given the resources you have available to you, like the nature reserve and so on. But can you tell us a little bit about any projects you might be working on at the moment, or like adaptation to technology, as you're saying, as a result of this?
Interesting. A little bit about my background. I did all the cruises for years where I would align with Eric Dalton. I would align with, Paul St. John, Aaron Mattis, just Dr. Tiffany Fields, the legends of the bodywork world. And when this all happened, there was a group in Canada called Better Together as One, and they run the Canadian Massage Conference, and they work with a university professor that actually does online courses. I would describe it as online course on steroids, not just one you threw together to get out there. That's happening a lot in our industry now, where it's interactive. So we have a brand new course I've never taught anywhere in the world. It's called Kinetic Chain Patterns for Complicated Shoulder Conditions. We went to the online route so that you could learn the same content as you would get in a 3-day live course, by interacting with questions, by being interactive, by getting immediate feedback about your test questions. So I'm really excited that we launched this like yesterday. We spent 2 months, hundreds of hours. It's very expensive to do it that way, but we got the best course together ever. And I also am doing a lot of Zoom talks. Some of them are free for associations that I want to give back to. I just did one for the Florida State Massage Therapy Association because they launched my whole career. So we talked to a lot of their people. We are going to be starting next week to do one-on-one mentoring, because as you know, as I travel 45 weekends, a lot of people don't get that one-on-one time with their instructor, with their professor. We're going to have on our website next week one-on-one mentoring. We're going to have every Saturday, we're going to have a Zoom class where it's just like you're in the classroom. You're going to see the PowerPoints, you're going to see the hands-on, you're going to see everything. You're going to do hands-on. So I've been probably busier since the quarantine than I was when I was traveling the world, almost because my wife really kind of pushes me to get these projects done, which is a blessing. Yeah. Some days it's like, that's too much, but it's a blessing that we are now getting ready for the future. We're going to go digital with all of our videos. We're going to go, we're going to go into things where we're doing online courses with all of our videos. We're going to be going into updating. One of the best things ever happened, my handouts were outdated. People would get one and they go, well, this is the one I got 10 years ago. Or the new research wasn't there. The new clinical studies weren't in there. So we've updated all of our handouts. We've updated all of our PowerPoints. Honestly, I needed a month or two to get this done. And it would have never gotten done, Aubrey, without what I look at as now a devastating, depressing moment when I heard this was all my conferences were canceled, turned into I'm probably happier now than I've ever been because these projects are getting done.
I
So it's
think
a
that's
lot
the
of
thing that people, once they kind of, they start to get over the initial shock, they go through that adaptation. And I think one of the big things is the accessibility that people now have, the therapists have, to world-class educators, because everybody is embracing the online format. They're using platforms like Zoom, as you say, and they're building quality online learning, you know, which I think is a big change, rather than just video that you might have had before that you're putting just in a streaming kind of service, that instead now they're actually getting more structured education, which I think is always a really good thing and much more engaging for the person taking that education as well.
And we are also starting a integrated manual therapy magazine, which is I wanted to do this, at least a newsletter where you're getting colleagues to put in clinical studies and research. So with the Better Together as One group, we are actually starting an integrated manual therapy magazine, not just from me, but from colleagues. As you know, you and I go to Eric Dalton's classes. The world has become more integrated amongst colleagues than I've ever seen in my profession. I support you, you support me, we support Eric Dalton, he supports us. Same thing with, you know, I just got off of a Zoom with 3 of them this last 3 weeks with Benny Vaughn, legend in sports massage. Wow. I watched your class with John Sharkey, you know, your talk with John Sharkey. And I was amazed about some of his dissections over the years and some of his papers. And we just got off another Zoom with Carrie D'Ambrosia. I have time to study. I have time to grow. I have time to spend time with my family. We have a dance night in my home. We crack each other up. We have special movie night. I mean, the dream you wish when you had more time to do the things you want to do from your heart is becoming a reality.
I think it's interesting that a lot of educators as well are saying that they are busier at the moment, that we've all had our schedules disrupted. I should be in Australia teaching at the moment and then traveling to Singapore shortly. But yeah, we've had a lot of a shift that we've had to push our schedules around. And we have oftentimes then made use of this time to work on projects that we aren't normally getting to. But we still do have that kind of sense of having just more time, getting to those things that we haven't gotten to before.
And I had the same thing. I was supposed to Lynn Teachworth and Ann Teachworth do functional movement stuff. And we should have been in Hartwood Institute in the Mount Redwoods of California right now as we're sitting here.
Beautiful.
But again, what do? You go, you can either get depressed about it and go, I can't believe I'm home instead of there. Or we're talking tomorrow about doing an online course together to give them that same information they would have gotten. But you know what I really miss, Aubrey? I miss the hugs. I miss the interaction. You know, when you and I go to Eric Dalton's class in Oklahoma, I'll be there again in September. I'll be there, special guest. The people interacting with colleagues and legends of our profession, hugs, laughter, going out to dinners. When you do that 45 weekends here and it's taken away, I have to say there's days I'm actually depressed. And I said to my wife, I said, I will probably never retire. And I definitely will never start traveling, doing what I literally get an endorphin high doing every time I teach. And I'm 63, but every single time I teach, I get this an endorphin high between the hugs, the laughter, the friendships, the dinners, and the education, and that we're changing the face of medicine. I've never felt so blessed. And I said to Fran, I am never going to complain again about my busy schedule on the road.
That's true. You get withdrawals. I think, you know, you get such a kick out of teaching. I've seen you teach. We've talked about this. We've co-presented on things that there is that real buzz, particularly of seeing somebody really connect with the information, and you see the light bulb go off and they get that aha moment. I mean, it's hard to not become addicted to that. It's just, it's so rewarding for us as teachers.
It is, Aubrey. And you know, even I was scheduled to be in Dubai, the #1 conference, shoulder conference in the world for surgeons and doctors. It came about by going out to Kuwait and treating a lady with a frozen shoulder. But thanks to John Sharkey's paper in clinical studies, that a lot of those are scars and secondary muscle guarding and things, we got great results. So if we don't do the Dubai conference, which I don't know if you've never been to Dubai, but it's pretty interesting. It's like Las Vegas on steroids kind of city. So I can relate to your Singapore and your Australia stuff, because these are not just workshops. These are an experience of a lifetime to experience culture, people, new friendships. As you know, you've met David Sheehan from Australia, and we've been friends for many, many, many years. Him and I have gone to different places in Bali and taught together. And I think that's what I miss. I think I miss the fact that I like my guy time. I like my alone time. I like my friendship time. And instead of focusing on that, I'm thinking, man, I'm going to be so blessed when I get back on the road. I miss it that much. Like it's pretty.
I've only ever had a stopover in Dubai, so I must actually get there and get to travel around, meet the people, hopefully even teach a seminar there. Maybe we'll do something together there. But I know what you've really focused on in recent years, actually for quite a number of years now, is those kind of conferences, as you said, the osteopathic chiropractic conferences, bringing your style of body work into that world, I think is phenomenal. And I suppose that kind of leads me to my next question of what excites you about the future? What are you looking forward to, Jim?
You know, I really am looking forward to growing, getting to more places across the world. So I want to just suggest that people, you know, I just did a conference, you said chiropractic. I just had 200 chiropractors probably a couple of months ago, 200 chiropractors, and they were loving the fact that we are coming together as one, chiropractic, physical therapy, athletic training, osteopathic, and integrating more than ever before amongst, not just amongst our colleagues in the massage profession, but amongst leaders in the manual therapy world. So I'm like crazy excited to get out there to do more chiropractic conferences, more osteopathic. I've done, you know, I teach a group of osteopaths in Ireland, and when
That's right. Yeah, we've both been up to Westport for that. Yeah,
and we've done that with Westport, and that's what drives me is when I teach them, Aubrey, they teach me. So they're going, have you looked at this around the SI? Have you looked at this around the ascending syndrome? Have you looked like this? Like, I feel like I'm a kid in a candy store and I know like this much information about bodywork. I probably know a little bit more than that. But every time I train with a new colleague, Aubrey, it's like, oh my God, there's another piece. I just took a 4-day total body balancing course with Dr. Carrie D'Ambrosia, a brilliant osteopath. And I'm like, oh my God, I never thought about blood in, fluids out. I never thought about this. So I'm looking at integrating with leaders like you and other colleagues and amongst other professionals and changing the face of medicine. I'm looking at that every doctor would call up and go, you know, there's one of my teaching assistants, he works in an emergency room in Minnesota. When you go into the ER, if you have a soft tissue injury, once they rule out fractures, hypermobile segments and so on, you go to that massage therapist. I'm looking at that being the future of medicine. And I want to be around long enough to be able to see that manifest more than ever before. I'm so super excited about that piece.
And we've talked about this in terms of the education realm as well, where I think there's a great kind of a coming together, a synergy of different styles and techniques. And we've mentioned this, I think it was you brought it up in Oklahoma last year. We were saying that, you know, different people working together. Like I was doing a seminar with Till here back in November in Ireland. We're doing another one this coming November. And I think those kind of bringing a couple of educators together as well, that participants get to be exposed to a couple of different styles, approaches, and techniques and theories, and clinical reasoning being the big thing at the moment as well, which I think is so important. That I think it's really great to see educators come together on stuff like that. The other thing is I've noticed a lot of educators are offering good specials at the moment, because it's very much in recognition that a lot of therapists have financial difficulties and things like that. Do you have anything exciting that you can share with us about specials you're doing or anything?
Yeah, Aubrey, that's a really good question. You know, the day after this happened and I had no PPP approved, I had no unemployment approved, had to lay off my whole staff. I said to my wife, I said, we're going to put all of our DVDs, everything on our website, 50% off. I said, this is a time when they can learn, they can, I mean, 50% off of everything across the board. Wow. The only exception that might be by the time this airs is instead of doing the kinetic chain, I'm going to just show you, but we've got this shoulder video. It's kinetic chain for complicated shoulder conditioning, but it uses the MPS Dolphin Neurostim, and it uses some of D'Ambrosia's total body balancing techniques. And that's the one we're going to do the online course on storage. I would like to, if they're interested in that, there's an academy called the Better Together as One Academy. They can go to bettertogetheras1academy.com, or they can go to cluster.com. And that'll get them into our orthopedic newsletter with information, articles from myself and colleagues. That'll get them into the online course that would be the equivalent of taking a 3-day live course. And we've made it, again, back to the specials. That course would normally be $400 or $500. It's $225 because people cannot afford the amount of education. I can't afford to come out there. They can't afford hotels. They can't afford the flights. And we're going to make this new stuff, never taught anywhere in the world, the kinetic chain patterns and MPS scar release therapy for complicated. And I have a special guest, Kelly Armstrong, in the video, in the online course, who's a world-renowned expert on treating scars. You know, I had a mountain biking accident. I had 80 cactus pines removed from my leg. I had a rotator cuff injury. and my back and neck were hurting because those scars were pulling me to the distortional patterns, and nothing that I've learned in manual therapy was working until I treated all those scars. So there's so much out there, and we want to share this with the profession at an affordable cost. So my website, if they want those videos for 50% off, is www.orthomassage.net or thomassage.net. And the academy is the Better Together as oneacademy.com. Again, free online magazine with integrated manual therapy, colleague information. But we want to make this, especially now, Aubrey, when people are hurting and they're struggling, where they can grow their practice while they have this time to do it.
Excellent. And I do think like there's a lot of free resources that people can check out to get an initial impression of James's work. I mean, there's articles on his website. He has videos on his Facebook page. We'll put links to these at the end of the video so you can find all this stuff, start looking through some of James's stuff, even to start off with a DVD, something you can just be practicing on at home. But I think that online course sounds really exciting. I've heard you mention before, but I haven't seen it, the dolphin stim scar release.
Well, there is a whole protocol there just for rotator cuff tears and adhesive capsulitis in there. There's stuff to get you out of sympathetic nervous system, stress flight, into parasympathetic nervous system. I'm not an easy sell, but I tell you, after my mountain biking accident, and she treated all my scars on my leg, a scar went from my hip replacement 5 years ago, scar from a shoulder injury. Aubrey, I was telling my wife today, I haven't had pain for a year since I got all these scars treated. I haven't had any physical pain from hip replacements, rotator cuff injury surgery. So again, there's another light for us to raise the bar of our profession, post-surgical scars. There's so many people, a C-section scar where it manifests into shoulder and neck and back pain. But it has nothing to do with the scar. It has to do with the tensegrity and the fascia being pulled. So like I said, there's so much more to learn. I'm only 63. By the time I'm 90, I'm gonna still be taking a class. You and I'll still be going like either to Costa Rica or Oklahoma and saying, yeah, I'm gonna learn one more thing from Eric Belt. I'm gonna learn one more thing from Bill. I'm gonna learn one more thing from Whitney Lowe. There's so much more out there.
Well, I think you've just given me what is my thing to look forward to now coming out of lockdown, James, because I can't wait to study some of that stuff with you. Hopefully we'll get to talk about it in Oklahoma in September. Big shout out to Eric for his annual Oklahoma seminar, which is going to be Labor Day weekend this year because of the pandemic. It's been pushed back, but an amazing experience. Highly recommend it. There's really incredible educators there. We've had Art Riggs, we've had Till, we've had James, myself, Eric, of course, all his TAs, the awesome Dalton gang. So it's definitely something to look forward to. James, is there anything else you'd like to add in closing?
You know, I think from a spiritual level, I think that we're all going through a tough time right now. I think that I pray for those people that are struggling financially, that are struggling in relationships, because, you know, I think my wife has made a decision that I'm not going to ever retire. Just kidding. We're actually getting along better than we ever have because I'm grounded, because I'm finding by doing the bike rides, by being out in nature, by having a goal, by being proactive and saying, this is my reset in the world to build my practice to another level, and take precautions when we get back out there. But I would like to extend my heartfelt prayers to people that are struggling financially, emotionally, in relationships, and say, we'll get through this, but take care of yourselves. You know, spend that time in nature, spend that time in a walk, spend that time finding a funny movie so you laugh and the endorphins come out, and spend that time, you know, just talking to you, Aubrey. I'm high just by being amongst my colleagues. You know, like if we said we're going to Eric Dalton's thing in September, that kind of high, there's not much I do than spend this kind of precious time with colleagues. So I would like to say your people, and especially in Ireland, because I've taught there many, many, many times, are in my thoughts, my prayers, my heart. I hope that this in some way motivates them to think a little different, because our thoughts become our reality. Our thoughts make chemical changes in our brain, and what we focus on, despite the obstacles, will make a difference in their future. So thanks for this blessing and opportunity to share some information.
Well, James, I think that's brilliant advice. Those are things that I think anybody can really implement. So I'd like to say thank you once again for joining us today, for giving us of your time. I know you're busy, even though we're in lockdown or coming out of lockdown at this stage. And I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. So thanks again, James.
You're welcome, Aubrey. Have a blessed day. Appreciate you.
Great, James. Talk to you again soon.
Thank you.